rather than improve conditions in the United States of America, Democrats in the United States Senate have decided that, especially on the Senate Judiciary Committee, have decided they're going to spend all their time trying to delegitimize a sitting United States Supreme Court justice by the name of Clarence Thomas. They say that he is captured by rich conservatives and he's doing their bidding, and they have no evidence for any of this. They just say these things, and they'd like to hurt him. For the latest update on their attempts to attack Clarence Thomas yet again, let's bring in Mark Paoletta now. He's a man who knows Clarence Thomas well. He's a partner at the law firm of Schaerr Jaffe. He's also the author of the book, Created Equal, Clarence Thomas in His Own Words. Mark, good to have you back with us, sir.
Hey, Vince. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
So what is happening this week? You know, Dick Durbin really does not like your buddy, Justice Thomas. Why do they have it out for him?
Because he won't bow to their attacks, right? They've been going after him for 40 years, even 10 years before he went on the bench. And Clarence Thomas, who is our greatest justice and our greatest living American, hands down, period, won't bow to them. And they are furious that the Supreme Court now, which Clarence Thomas is the leader of, is no longer this super legislature imposing left-wing policies like abortion and affirmative action. And so they want to destroy the court. They want to undermine it. And so now the way they're doing it now, Vince, they've been doing this, for the past year, is going after Clarence Thomas's friends, right? And acquaintances and people that he vacations with. This is the crime that Harlan Crow, and they're also going after Leonard Leo, are somehow, because they're friends with Justice Thomas, they want to know everything he does with them. And so today, it was a great victory. The Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where this circus took place, really stood up to the Democrats. The Democrats today, led by Dick Durbin and really Sheldon Whitehouse, who really is a lunatic conspiracy crazy man, wanted to issue subpoenas to Crow and Leo. And the Republicans came in with, I think, 90 amendments of separate subpoenas that they wanted to vote on all sorts of things. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's GPS data, Brian Fallon from Demand Justice, all these things of looking at the left and their attacks on the court, or even things like Mayorkas and the border. They were going to have 90 amendments to vote on subpoenas, and the Democrats shut it down. They didn't even vote on the ones today. So it was a great victory. The Republicans, from Lindsey Graham to Mike Lee, John Kennedy, Marsha Blackburn did a great job today. They're all prepared and willing to go to war with the Democrats. And so today was a great victory, we won this battle. It's a big war, but what they want to do at the end of the day, they want to control this court, Vince. They want to attack it. They want to undermine it. And this is the United States Senate, whose approval rating, I think, is at like 16%, right? Who have no conflict of interest laws themselves. Like Sheldon Whitehouse helps pass legislation that directly affects his wife's group that she works with called Ocean Conservancy. Right? He does things for this organization. He writes articles for their blog. They endorse his legislation. And here he is going after Clarence Thomas for having friends and hanging out with him. That's literally what this is about.
Yeah. And in fact, as I recall from our prior conversations and the reporting on this subject, Clarence Thomas and the vacations and trips that he's taken alongside some of his friends, he followed all of the excellent expert legal advice that he had received on what he's supposed to disclose and what he's not, and he's followed it to the T.
That's exactly right, Vince, and that's what's so frustrating and so infuriating, in fact, about this, which is that the Judicial Conference, which is the body set up under the law to administer and implement and rule on ethics issues with respect to judges, issued rulings in 2012 on Thomas on this exact issue. 20 Democrat congresspeople, led by Louis Slaughter, who's gone now from Congress, but they filed an ethics complaint against Justice Thomas, saying he wasn't disclosing his trips with Harlan Crow. And guess what? The Judicial Conference looked at it and said, Thomas has done nothing wrong. He doesn't have to disclose any more information. There was another judge who was actually the chairman of the Code of Conduct Committee of the Judicial Conference, which is a very respected committee. He actually asked for information, a ruling, as to whether he needed to disclose a similar trip. His name is Ray Randolph, and it was a trip up to Alaska. And literally his contemporaneous notes say you don't have to disclose a flight on a plane and staying at a lodge up in Alaska.
Yeah.
I mean, these are literally the things they're accusing Thomas of, and this was in 2006. So it's just absolutely outrageous that they are attacking Thomas. They're attacking Alito. They want to destroy this court. And today was a great day to push back on the Democrats. They literally folded. They abruptly canceled the markup. And I'm not sure what they're going to do. They say they're going to come back, but the Republicans up there are going to fight hard to make sure that the Democrats don't get away with it.
Good for these Republican senators for finally putting some brass knuckles on and gumming up the works and and coming up with a better outcome here. I can't say they do that on every issue, but I'm glad to see them sticking up for Clarence Thomas here, the justice.
You know, that's the thing. He's beloved. He's beloved by most Americans. You know what I mean? He's got one of the highest approval ratings, if you can believe it, on the Supreme Court. And so it's this bubble that we live in where the left attacks him, and they want to create this, this false narrative that he's unpopular or that he's doing things wrong. It's all a lie.
They're very threatened by him. They are very threatened by him because, one, he's a brilliant guy, as you've emphasized so many times. The other, and I think very importantly, he's a black man. He is a black man who does not believe that the court should legislate, that the justices should legislate from the bench. And that makes him a very big threat to their whole agenda. They've built this entire house of cards that's predicated on this idea that equity is important and people should be prioritized based on their skin color, and the justices should legislate from the bench. The founders didn't have any original intent whatsoever. It doesn't actually matter what the laws were for when they were written. We should change the meaning to fit the present day. He's opposed to all that crap. He has been for a long time, and that is a huge threat to them.
You know what, Vince? It's always been the threat that he's represented. You know, it's the black liberal leadership, right? And if you look at the issue after issue, they are way out of step with black Americans on affirmative action, right? On school choice. 81% of black parents support school choice, right? And guess what? The NAACP opposes it. That's why they opposed Justice Thomas during his confirmation. Wildly popular to Americans when he was going through his confirmation. And guess what? The NAACP opposed Clarence Thomas's confirmation. That's how despicable of an organization they are, okay? But on every issue, even on abortion, black Americans are much, they are, I think it's in the 80% opposed to third trimester abortions, okay? Yet the leadership is completely for abortion on demand, school choice, voter ID, all of these issues across the board. And that's why he is such a threat, because the media and the black liberal leadership wants to create this story that Thomas is out of touch, when in fact they are out of touch. It's just like Benny Thompson when he attacked Clarence Thomas. Even Hakeem Jeffries, they are the ones who are out of touch with black Americans, and Thomas represents a threat to them.
So, Mark, obviously you can hear it in your voice. You get very animated about all of this, these unfair attacks on Justice Thomas.
Yes.
Do you get the impression that he gets animated about all of this? How much does this bug him?
It's not fun to be attacked, but he's been living this. It's an amazing. I mean, he's a very, very dear friend, and the way he conducts himself and doesn't let it affect him in terms of his job. Like I said, it's not fun to be attacked. He has his friends. I love fighting for him. I feel blessed to be able to fight for him.
Yeah, it's
but
cool.
It's not fun, right? But he never bends. Just like his wife Ginny, they never bend on these attacks, and it's a model. And people should look to them, right? If you want to be successful, if you want to be respected. I mean, Thomas came on the bench, absolutely racist attacks on him. He's not qualified. He's Scalia's puppet. All this garbage, right? 30 years later, what did he do? He just got to work, Vince. That's what he did. He got to work. He's written over 700 opinions, and on every single issue, just about, right, and on all the important issues, the court has come his way. It is the Thomas court. He will leave this lasting legacy with all these clerks who love him, who are out there changing the world now, and these clowns, and that's what they are. Right, like the Durbins and the White Houses continue to attack him, and I want his story to get out there. And I recommend to your listeners, Created Equal, Clarence Thomas in his own words, the movie. You can read the book, but the movie is so powerful to see this man and who he is. Right,
and as you emphasize here, it is, quote, in his own words. You literally hear from Clarence Thomas throughout that documentary. It's a fantastic documentary. I'm not sugarcoating this thing. It's really, really good, and worth your time. But it's funny though. One of the ways we can judge Justice Thomas, in addition to obviously his many writings through the years for the court, all these great opinions that he's written, is his enemies. You can judge him based on the types of people who hate him. I mean, Sheldon Whitehouse this needs to be repeated, and I think for the rest of his life, is literally a member of a beach club that doesn't let black people join it. There's only white people in this beach club, and here he is sitting in judgment of Clarence Thomas as if he's the bad guy. It is one of the craziest things you could possibly imagine.
I completely agree. That's why I love talking to you, Vince. One of the craziest things, right? I think it's called the Bailey's Beach Club. And you know what they should do? They should subpoena the Bailey's Beach Club, ask for a resolution to see, because Sheldon Whitehouse said, "Oh, I've been trying to change this. He's only been a member for many, many years, right? Let's see what kind of changes he's been trying to do."
Tell me about the application process at the beach club. I'd love to know everything about this. How do you assess who can join the beach club, Senator? How does your beach club handle its business? I want to know how much everybody makes at the beach club, what their political contributions are, whether or not any of them have been enriched by their associations with you. I want to know everything, because if that's the game we're going to play, let's play it. Let's go to the beach club, this wonderful all-white beach club that Sheldon Whitehouse is a part of. Sheldon White Club. That's what he does.
And remember, when this became an issue, and I've tweeted on this and got some videos up with it, but when he came under attack on this before, you know what he did? He transferred his shares to his wife. So his wife and him are the largest shareholders, I believe, in this club. Okay, so this is a guy, an all-white club, attacking Clarence Thomas, born in segregation in Georgia in the Deep South, to parents that were very poor and uneducated. Father left at 2 years old. Here's a man who one of the greatest American sort of story, right, of where he started and where he's ended. And this is, as you said, Vince, you can tell a person by his enemies, and White House attacking him says it all.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, let me just make an obvious point in case you can't detect some of this. Like, you can start a club, and if only white people happen to join it, that's fine. Whatever. I don't actually care that much. But the idea that he would stand up there and then preach all of this racial equity, we need equal distribution, and we got to judge people based on their skin color, and then you create an all-white club that you join and nobody else is allowed in. Come on, spare us, please.
Right, and then on the conflicts of interest, Ginny Thomas has her own career. She does political things. But here's Sheldon Whitehouse passing legislation that directly affects his wife, the Ocean Conservancy's, interest and work. Yeah. And so it's just the hypocrisy is just stunning to me. But they carry on. But the good thing is this, as I started off saying, the Republicans are fighting the back. And they're talented. Mike Lee is talented as all heck. Ted Cruz. They take these guys on. They came loaded for bear today, and to defend a good man. And they'll be back at it, and we'll be pushing back and fighting back on it. But it really is this despicable. But Justice Thomas is our greatest American, and he's our greatest justice, who's reshaped American jurisprudence in our country. Yeah. And so it's as I said, I love defending him. I've been, I worked on his confirmation back in 1991 when they tried to attack him and destroy him. And who led that charge? Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden, who led that charge. So, these Democrats hate him for who he is, for being a black conservative who's never bowed to their demands.
And notice Joe Biden's not telling them to back down either right now. He's perfectly happy with Dick Durbin and Sheldon Whitehouse.
If you remember, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, all of this, the current iteration of these attacks, Vince, goes back to March of 2020, right? When Senator Schumer, the Democrat leader, stood on the steps of the Supreme Court and threatened Gorsuch and Kavanaugh by name with physical violence if they didn't vote a certain an abortion case. And that has led to the protests, unlawful protests outside of Justice Holmes, including Justice Thomas. The security is so ramped up on these guys because of death threats, right? And when, in fact, there was an assassination attempt. So, yes. And then if you remember, I think it was Jen Psaki who said, hey, people should, or maybe it was the current press secretary saying, people should go and protest outside these justices' homes. I mean, absolutely despicable, right, the way they have unleashed the crowd, the mob, on these justices.
Yeah, in case you're wondering who's destroying our country's sacred norms. Okay, thank you, Mark Paoletta. Really appreciate your time as always, sir. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Fitz.
Yeah, everyone get themselves a Mark as a friend, isn't that? Mark who go toe to toe. He's just like, I'll defend you.